Thursday attack, but we're looking ahead to more future attacks. What are your thoughts on all of this as they're coming in?
The United States Marines are no better friend, no worse enemy. And our Afghan allies have seen the United States Marines as no better friend these last few weeks, pulling them to freedom at HKIA. And now ISIS-K is going to meet them as no worse enemy. We are going to extract justice for this atrocity. Whether it takes 10 days or 10 years, the architects will be killed.
The Biden administration has said that they've planned for all contingencies. And I want to ask you, does it look like that to you? Because once the military leaves, we don't know at this point if the airport's going to be operational. We just heard from a report earlier in the show from one of our reporters. How do you get allies and Americans out after the 31st without an airport, since the administration has continued to promise that our commitment to get people home and get people out of Afghanistan doesn't end after the military does finally withdraw?
All Americans who want to leave Afghanistan and who meet the security threshold to leave Afghanistan can leave Afghanistan before August 31st. We are not going to leave Americans behind. We have also made substantial advances in evacuating our Afghan allies, more than 100,000 personnel in the last month. Going forward, as we transition from a military to a diplomatic posture for these evacuations, we'll retain the leverage over the Taliban that can aid getting people out of the country who might be at special risk of reprisal. Remember that 90% of the Taliban's foreign reserves are held by U.S. banks. 75% of their government revenues come from the international donor community. They don't have the technical competence to run an international airport. We may not have boots on the ground past August 31st, but we do have influence.
We've heard that so many times, though, and I'm just curious, what does that actually look like? Because we've heard about our ability to pressure them, but can you use the Taliban effectively to complete our goals here, since they've taken over the country and we're going to be out? How does that actually happen?
Well, there's absolutely uncertainty in this dynamic situation. How it actually works is that you take the leverage that you have over a counterparty and you negotiate. I mean, this is what diplomacy is. We do this with governments that we don't like throughout the world. We operate counterterrorism missions in dangerous places without boots on the ground throughout the world. Afghanistan is now going to enter an entire tranche of countries with whom we have to work despite having a deep reservoir of distrust, and where we have to, as necessary, execute counterterrorism missions despite not having boots on the ground for rigorous human intelligence. So we do know how to do this. It is imperfect, certainly, but this is what it looks like to wind down a 20-year war. 20 years ago, we invaded Afghanistan, a country known as the graveyard of empires. We got buried. The critics of the president right now have no plan to dig ourselves out of this mess. This president made the high integrity decision to let Afghans fight for Afghanistan. It is messy. There needs to be an after-action review to examine mistakes made, but it's the high integrity call.
I want to play for you some sound from a Republican Congressman, Matt Whitman, who was on with us last hour. He was talking about his biggest concerns right now. I want to get your reaction. Let's listen.
We are still facing a deadline that the president refuses to move. I believe the deadline needs to be extended. I don't think we should be at the mercy of the Taliban telling us when to get out.
Congressman, what are your thoughts on what you just heard?
It's been the same refrain for 20 years. More time, more troops, more treasure. We can fix this. There is no winning a counterinsurgency without a political endgame. You need a strong political partner with whom to counter the insurgents. We've never had that in Kabul. Okay. So we've got to exit, and we've got to do so responsibly. But we cannot win a counterinsurgency in Afghanistan.
Congressman, I really appreciate your time. We've run out of time here. Jake Auchincloss of Massachusetts. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Likewise.